Welcome into the landscape presented by Hospitality Staffing Solutions. I am your host, Serena Winters, and joining me today, the one and only Georges Niang.
Yes.
Thanks for taking the time to sit down.
Yeah, appreciate you having me on. It's going to be awesome.
Hey, I think that one of the really endearing qualities about you is that you just are who you are.
Yeah.
You're not shy about it,
Yeah.
right? You know, I don't have to dig deep into too much of like, who are you?
Yeah.
Because we get to see it, right? But where do you think that personality type comes from?
Obviously the larger than life, yelling, screaming, dancing is probably a little too much for some people, but I don't know, I've always been this way. My mom is completely different, and my dad isn't loud and screaming and yelling, so I don't know where I got it from, but there's been plenty of times where I've been driving around in the car and my mom has told me to shut up and stop singing, so I don't know where I got it from, but sometimes it's appreciated, but if it's not, my own mother sometimes doesn't appreciate it.
You've got a self-deprecating way about even just your humor and how you talk. That's got to come from somewhere. Like, where did that, when you think about how you grew up, is there anything that stands out in terms of this is why you are the way that you are?
I think for me, when I was growing up, I wasn't, the sexiest looking with, my appearance. I didn't look athletic. I was kind of just like a rugged, oversized kid in like a small world. And I think the easiest way, to avoid getting picked on was being self-deprecating, right? You make fun of yourself and other people don't find it, cool to make fun of you. And I've learned to have a lot of fun with it, right? I think when you can laugh at yourself, the world just can laugh along with you. And I never take life too seriously. Obviously on the court, I kind of change demeanors, but I can also laugh a little bit. But I think, being able to enjoy life, laugh, smile, and enjoy everything for what it's worth is something I pride myself on. And you try to have a lot more good days than you do bad days.
You mentioned your mom and how different she is than you. What role has your mom played in the success that you've had in your life?
Yeah, without getting too emotional, my mom's been instrumental in, who I've become as a man and, my professional journey. I remember growing up and getting, never being told no, but, obviously living within our means, but, I never got to see my mom go out and, buy herself a new pair of shoes or a coat or a handbag, but she was the first one to be driving our car up and down the East Coast to get me to, whether if it was a hockey tournament, basketball tournament, wrestling. I did all sports, and she was always right there supporting me, taking me, sacrificing her time, her social life, and kind of made my whole upbringing about George's happiness. And I could never thank her enough for that. And even my professional journey, she shows up to games, comes out for holidays, and she's just been my rock. And I don't know where I'd be without her. So Mom, if you're watching, I love you and thank you so much for all that you've done and continue to do.
So, born in Boston, and you go to private school in New Hampshire.
Yep.
Right? We know that you were big time at Tilton School.
Yes.
Big time on the court. But I'm more interested in the fact that you were school president.
Those are things that, were never supposed to be found out. I was lucky enough to be surrounded by, real good people at, the Tilton School that kind of like pushed me to get out of my comfort zone, right? Being, funny and joking around is one thing, and being popular in high school, but then actually having to be on the board of stuff to actually like make decisions and being a student body president, it was almost like the perfect way for me to balance, my humor and also being serious going on to college, so it kind of added a more serious element where I was like, okay, he has a personality, but how can he dial it in and be professional about it? And it's helped me throughout my life. So I'm so thankful that I had people like push me to do it, because I was so anti anything that was going to be like, oh, be a good student. I was like, why can't I just be the class clown? So I'm happy that they diverted me in that direction.
Interesting. I wouldn't have thought that it was something that you didn't want to do. Like, it seems like something that would be up your alley, knowing you now, but I didn't know you then.
Yeah, usually I was leading the charge to like skip class to go to lunch early, but that kind of changed my senior year.
So you said you had to make decisions.
Yes.
Is there a decision that you look back on and like you think about, or like what is a big decision you had to make?
I think it was more or less like decisions that would like affect freshmen, but would kind of give seniors more like free time or free periods. It was so making those decisions. It was like, damn, should I have like thought about how I would feel as a freshman and been like, that damn student body president, why the hell did he pick that? And rather than just giving the students 30 more. I think it was at night. The juniors and seniors were allowed to, have 30 extra minutes at the gym to hang out, and I was like, we could get 45 if the freshmen and sophomores couldn't come. So I was like, yeah, we'll take the 45. Freshmen and sophomores can't come. So I apologize in advance, whoever's in my class of 2018 or 19.
When we return on The Landscape, presented by Hospitality Staffing Solutions, we learn about how George's basketball journey began and the lifelong memories it has given him. How did you actually get into basketball?
It's actually funny. I had a next door neighbor that had a basketball hoop, and one day, I think it was like a weekend, I was watching my dad over there talking with him, and he was shooting on the hoop, and he was like getting up and like dunking it. And I was like, well, why isn't my dad like a professional superstar? Like, he's dunking the ball. Later on in life, I figured out that hoop was like 8 feet tall. But I was just like, the way the ball bounced, the way it went through the hoop, the movement, well, I just kind of became like addicted to it. And then obviously being someone that was bigger than a lot of his peers, I was pushed towards like, hey, you should try basketball. And like one thing led to another, and you just start to fall in love with the small things. Like I said, the dribbling, the passing, how it sounds going through the hoop. And from there on out, my mom signed me up at the YMCA, and I've been playing ever since.
So you decide to go to Iowa State after being one of the top players on the East Coast in high school at that time. So why Iowa State? How did that come about?
I've always been a loyal kind of guy. And my mentor when I was growing up, his name was Rick Gorman. I was actually I am still best friends with his son, Michael Gorman. And he was like the mentor and basketball coach that kind of taught me, the power of being loyal and being committed to people that are committed to you. And Iowa State, I was struggling to get high major schools to recruit me. I wasn't the most athletic or the most skilled, but I was getting the job done, and Iowa State was the first high major school to come and recruit me. Fred Hoiberg came in and he was like, hey, you're my plan A, I don't want to have a plan B. And I was like, that's exactly what I needed to hear. And from there on out, I kind of went through with the process and committed to Iowa State. I don't want to throw shade, but I never got an offer from Boston College or Providence or any of those local schools that were at a high major level. So I was like, you know what, why not take my act to the Midwest? And with that being said, I was culturally shocked when I got out there, but I've learned to love it.
Tell me the story about you and your mom driving through.
Oh my God. So when we first went out, this is before NIL, there was unofficial visits where the player had to pay for their way to get out there. So my mom paid for our flights to get out there, and we get to the Des Moines airport and we're going to Ames, and she forgot her credit card. So we go to rent a car and they're like, yeah, this is, sorry. So we had to take a taxi from Des Moines to Ames, which is a 45-minute drive. And as soon as we get to the hotel, Fred Hoiberg is like, hey, just drive on over to our practice facility. We're going to meet over here. And my mom, was like, well, I don't want him to know that we don't have a car here. And this was like pre-Uber days. So the moment where I knew Iowa was going to be a crazy place was there was a bean field that separated where the practice facility was, where I was meeting Fred Hoiberg, and our hotel. And all I remember is my mom telling me, like, come on, run through this bean field so that they wouldn't catch us walking, because she didn't want them to know that we didn't have a rental car down there. So that's kind of where I knew Iowa was going to be an interesting place, and I made it my home. But yes, that was an interesting story, to say the least.
But isn't it neat that now you are where you are, and you have that story to look back on as part of your journey?
Yeah, those are the experiences where in the moment you're like, what the heck is going on? But for some weird reason, they kind of create who you are and made this journey so sweet. And I've kind of, realized that, life is a journey. It's not, it's not just getting to a place, right? It's enjoying looking out the window and seeing the views as you're going and enjoying the journey. And like you said, those journeys have molded me into who I am and have created, these opportunities for me to play at the highest level and achieve my dreams. And I don't know if I could redo it, I'm not sure I'd want to redo it any other way. Yeah. When I look back at Iowa State, I think the things that it was able to do was be able to mold me into someone that was could handle success, but also could find a way to use the negative as motivation. Because, you know, Iowa State was great to me, right? You know, I won a lot. I was extremely popular in Ames, at Iowa State. I did a lot of cool things, but you know, the times where I did fail, it allowed me to, you know, dig deep and find a routine and still grow and still want to be the best me that I could be, because little did I know at the next level, my first 2 years were going to be constant failing. There was going to be very little success. So it was almost like I had to use all that success that I had in college to be able to keep me confident to be like, you can do this. Because my first 2 years were getting cut, playing in the G League, you know, trying to compete for a contract. And then after that, it was like 2 years of like eating crap, it felt like. And then I finally like pushed through and was able to, you know, carve out a role with the Utah Jazz. Then from there, you know, I was able to continue to gain confidence to finally be able to, you know, get another contract with the 76ers. Then from there on out, that allowed me to come here and grow and develop. And now, you know, it's early on in the year and we're being talked about for competing with the championship. So it all has played a role, and I'm super thankful for my time that I had at Iowa State, especially the successes.
Coming up, George takes us through the ups and downs of his NBA journey. This and more when The Landscape, presented by Hospitality Staffing Solutions, returns. So I went back to your draft class and looked at every second round pick.
Can I name? I think there's one other one. Two.
There's two.
Malcolm Brogdon.
I love how you knew exactly what I was going to ask you.
Yes, and Zubac.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, there's only 3 total guys that are still in the league. Wait, I mean, that's a big deal in terms of being, you know, that year in the second round. Why do you think that you've been able to have such a long career?
I think it goes back to like what you talked about with like the self-deprecating and, you know, being who I am. I think, you know, failing at this level is humbling, right? And if you can take that on the chin and be like, you know what, it's all right, like I can realize what I'm not good at and what I continue to grow at, and not be offended or tell someone like the coach doesn't want me to be me, because it was never really about you. It's how can you come in and impact the team in a positive way that allows you to be a part of something special that is bigger than yourself and compete for championships. So, you know, like I said, I've been lucky enough to come along a great group of people that have, you know, kind of molded me into who I am, and especially on my NBA journey, like great vets like, you know, Rodney Stuckey, Joe Ingles, Tobias Harris, who have kind of like put their arm around me and kind of showed me how to be a professional and how to continue to grow and impact winning. But I think the common denominator is like I was more or less willing to step outside myself and be like, okay, I don't like, you know, doing X, Y, and Z, but if that's what's going to get me on the court, like that's what I'm going to do. And I think a lot of guys in the NBA that don't last kind of forget that and want to be like, well, I want to play it my way. Well, you can go somewhere else to do that. That's not how this is going to work. And you know, Malcolm Brogdon has had a decorated career. Zubac has had a decorated career, and you know, I'm still carving my way out to continue to have a decorated career. But I think just being able to humble yourself and, you know, do things that are going to help other people and help yourself win or help your team win.
What's been the high of the basketball journey so
far? You know, I would definitely have to say when I was in Utah, I think finishing, you know, the first team in the league. And then there's a fond memory that I have, just because it's near and dear to me, would be playing on Christmas Day in Madison Square Garden and having my family all watch from home. You know, it's kind of a thing that growing up where, you know, we'd open gifts and then the noon game would come on and we'd all watch it together and, you know, watch games throughout the day. And the fact that I got to be on, you know, the noon game and have my family watch, have my friends watch, and then actually play really well when I was in Philadelphia, that was definitely one that was special to me. And then finally, I would say last year, you know, it didn't really have a lot to do with me, but it was the Dean Wade game, you know, to beat, I grew up a Celtics fan, so to be able to beat them in that fashion and be able to text my friends and talk smack was definitely a top memory in my NBA career.
I love that. Well, adversity though shapes you a lot too.
Yeah.
So if you think about the other side of it, and it doesn't have to be NBA, but when you just think about your basketball journey as a whole, what's been the low point?
I think when I got cut playing in Indiana, I know we were trying to avoid the basketball stuff, but after my first year in Indiana, I didn't really play much. I had gotten injured in summer league, and then they decided to cut me. So here I am, don't have a job, and I have a bone bruise in my knee, sitting there with ice on it. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, did I just, blow the only opportunity that I've worked my whole life for? Because I was, kind of unhappy. I'd never not played in a season, and that's kind of was my rookie year. I wasn't getting any minutes, I wasn't playing. And so I just was like, did I really blow my only opportunity that I've worked my whole life for? And I kind of just sat down and was like, hey, you may have done that, you may not, but like, try and come up with a routine that is gonna help you get better every day that you do it. And no matter rain, sleet, snow, happy, sad, mad, you're gonna get it completed. And I went into my G League year and stuck to that routine, and ended up paying dividends for me, and I ended up getting another job. But that low moment had me questioning if I ever was gonna get another opportunity to do something, that I love. And yes, I described it to you as like it was really easy, but there were moments where I'd come home and be like, I don't know if I'm cut out for this, but I'll just show up tomorrow and hopefully it'll figure itself out. But I think everybody has those moments, but if you can continue to show up, I think eventually good things will happen.
Ty Jerome said something interesting to me the other day. He said for him, the hardest part of the journey isn't when you're injured, because when you're injured, like at least you know what the plan is going to be. You got to do this, this, and that. The hardest part mentally can be dealing with the highs and lows when you're healthy, because some stuff you have no control over that. Does that vibe with you? Like, does that make sense?
I think he hit the nail on the head. And I kind of have a motto that I, kind of live by with that. It's just being patiently relentless. Like, you're patient in waiting to earn your opportunity, but when you get your opportunity, you're relentlessly chasing after it. Like, when you get your opportunity, it's full speed ahead. But until then, you're patient. You're trying to keep your emotions in check until you are given that opportunity. But when that opportunity comes, you're relentlessly chasing after it, because you don't know when your opportunity is going to come, but you just have to, whether if it's on the bench or in the G League, you have to be patient and wait on that and work relentlessly to earn those opportunities. And then when you get it, relentlessly chase after it so that you never have to look back.
When we come back, George goes in depth about what makes this Cavaliers team so unique. The Landscape, presented by Hospitality Staffing Solutions, returns right after this. What is unique about this team? You've been in the league 9 years, 6 playoff runs?
Yep.
What's different?
I would first just say the camaraderie, right? I think when you have a group of guys, whether if it's, max players, role players, minimum guys that can just vibe and get along and genuinely care about each one another and the success of each other. And the one common goal we have is, we want to win. And when you have that, trust me, I've been in this business a long time. That's not everywhere, that's for sure. A lot of guys have their own agendas, and for everyone here to be locked in on the same thing is a unique thing. And I cherish that every day that I come in here, and I'm thankful that I have the opportunity to come play basketball for this organization, because they do a great job of taking care of us, and all of us care about each other.
You also seem like you really enjoy Cleveland.
Yeah, I think the best thing about Cleveland is that it's very underrated, right? Besides from December to February when it's really dark and gloomy, I'm in a sports town where people are, hard-nosed, gritty, blue-collar people, and I feel like I can kind of relate to them. That's kind of how I grew up. That's the people that I surround myself, that's how they grew up. And so whether if it's I'm driving around my house or coming downtown, the support that we get is second to none, that's for sure. And when you're winning, the support and love is even better.
So you got this great job. We've learned about where you've come from, but one of the great things about being in this position is that you also have the opportunity to give back.
Yeah.
What have you done? Like, what does it mean to you to be able to go back to an area that the people there and you get to make a difference?
No, it's funny that you say that. I'm in the midst of still planning. I think it's my 8th charity golf event, which I've done back in Ames, Iowa. This will be my 8th year, and philanthropic work has always been important to me. I realized I've had a village that was able to support me and build me up, and I realized that there's other people out there that have been dealt bad hands, and I want to be able to reach out to those people and continue to help them and support them in any way that I can, because what is life if you can't help other people out? My life has been tremendous and awesome, and so many people have had a hand in that. If I could have a small hand in helping a bunch of people achieve their dreams and support them and know that they have a support system, I definitely want to be that.
Well, it was great to get to know you a little bit better. George, thanks so much, man, for taking the time.
Yes, thank you.
That'll do it for this episode of The Landscape. Make sure to tune back in for future episodes as we bring you guests from across the land. You can find us on Rock Entertainment Sports Network or wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time, I'm Serena Winters.